we just freestyle a little bit? Just general draft talk?
Go for it.
Little freestyle in here. We're putting the draft board together.
Don't freestyle rap, though. That's where you're going with this.
No,
okay,
I would never.
Okay, good.
I would never try. That's not going to happen.
All right.
We're putting our draft board together. You're watching a ton of guys. I'm watching a ton of guys. Any general thoughts that you've run into this week? I mean, let me just start real quick. I thought the tight end class was going to be really deep. I don't really love it now that the further I look at it. I think some guys are flawed. And if we do a My Guys section, one of them is going to be a tight end. But I think it's a little I like Hawkinson. I like Noah Fant, the two Iowa guys. It's a little thin beyond that.
Yeah, I go back to I will not be the one drafting a tight end in the first round because of just it's not an impact position in a lot of offenses. I think it's a position where you can find later in the draft. So guys like TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant are rumored to be first rounders. I don't think either is a perfect surefire home run elite tight ends.
Right.
You know, George Kittle coming out of Iowa, I don't think either of them are necessarily him just because they played for the same school. So I'd probably pass on a lot of these top tight ends.
I'm a little so like Irv Smith. Got some great route running ability, some speed. He's just got H-back size. With these, it's part of the advantage of the tight end is that big catch radius and having a different body type than the receivers you have to throw to. He's closer to a receiver from a body type standpoint. Caleb Wilson from UCLA is pretty good after the catch, but more in a straight line manner. He's not a great route runner. Jay Sternberg is probably my guy at Texas A&M that I like as the number 3 tight end, and I don't think a ton of people are on him in that respect.
Yeah.
Any other anything you've discovered this week?
I think trending? So. I think it's a very deep offensive tackle class, not a deep interior class. But there's a lot of guys I think that play tackle in college. This is the year if you do need interior offensive line help, I would be very willing to take a guy in the second like Greg Little, Max Sharping, Yadni Kaju, Bobby Evans, someone who's like that, who is not great at offensive tackle, but I think a lot of those guys can profile to the inside and be better than a lot of the big names in the interior offensive line of this class. I just don't think those guys on the interior are anything special, to be honest, in this class. There's only a handful of guys I'd take in the first or second round in this class in the interior, but there's a bunch of tackles who have flaws, but I think could translate inside. So that's my big takeaway is be happy if your team drafts one of those tackles in the second or third round.
Some developmental tackles.
Yes.
Chuma Edoga, we mentioned as a sleeper on the last podcast, would be a good player. My last thing is the safety class as we try to sort through that. It still always comes down to fit and style. And all. We talked about Darnell Savage and his range. Taylor Rapp, more of your just safe safety that's not going to make any spectacular plays. There's a role for that, but it's tough. I don't think he's going to end up as our number 1 safety on the board when you look at the high-end plays that Darnell Savage and maybe Nasir Adderley are capable of. On the back end, you mentioned Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Amani Hooker's a big fan. We have a lot of fans of him in the building. Juan Thornhill, who you mentioned. And then Deontay Thompson, we can't figure out.
Yeah, I'm so down on him. I'm off him completely.
Oh, man. We had a new scouting term.
Oh,
I need to...
We revived that from the grave?
Yes.
What was it?
So I forget the actual words, but I remember it's VHS.
Must not have been great. VHS. Man. Okay.
Now I can't remember. Sam came up with it. So basically, when you're watching, check his Twitter account.
Didn't go viral. That
essentially, what happens with Deontay Thompson, the second he can read the quarterback in a split second, probably faster than any free safety in this class. But then it might take him forever to get there. He doesn't have the best speed. Okay. So Sam likes to say steals a yard in his brain, with his eyes. So he is just really, really fast at saying, okay, if the quarterback is looking here, I'm breaking on the ball. But then there's another play where Isaac Nada, tight end from Georgia, who ran a 4.9,
outruns him,
is outrunning him in the SEC championship. So we'll see when
Alabama Pro Day 2